Saquon, do we have water here? Good evening and welcome to Know Your Purpose. I'm Dr. Stacey Venable. Tonight you're in for an epic treat. I have a dear friend with me tonight. She came on one of my other friends' shows and she did talk to us about her new book. I read the book and I reread it and I said, this is somebody that I have to showcase because her book was that endowed to me. I share it with a lot of my clients. A lot of the things in her book, I practice my own self and have been practicing since I started reading your book. Some of them I had been doing. Mm-hmm. Some of them I just started doing. Good. Some of them I've conquered, and some of them I had to put by the wayside because she goes a little in depth. But before we do all that, we're going to do some housekeeping rules. Tonight, these are our views. This is her book, written by herself. And if you don't agree to disagree. Agree to disagree. Exactly. So if this show is not for you tonight, I just offer you the opportunity to come back and tune back in next Friday on another host, another person that we have on. But tonight, again, these are our views. This is our topic. And again, agree to disagree. So we're going to move forward with that being said. Welcome. I'm going to welcome my friend Kamesha, and she's going to tell us a little bit about herself.
Hello. My name is Kamesha Tarell, and I am a life coach, a relationship coach, and my focus is really like self-discovery, self-love, because I believe that our relationships are only as healthy as we are.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So like I can't be a hot mess. And you're a hot mess, and then we want to be together. It's not going to be a healthy relationship. So we two people have to be healthy to be in relationship. I'm also a mother. I'm an author, and I just love people. I love people. I love women. I love traveling, and just pouring in, because I believe as women, we carry the world.
Yes, we do. We were designed to do that. We were designed to do that.
Yeah, we carry the world.
We have that thing, that nurturing piece. We have that nurturing factor with us. So we tend to be able to do that. And a lot of people say we do it with ease. But there are other tactics alongside of what we do. And that was one of the great things when I met you. Your aura was just so ambiance. I mean, it was just amazing. Like the way you walked in, it just lit up the room. And those are the people that I want to be around. You know,
me too.
Those are the people that I want to pour into and have you pour back into me. A lot of times as women, we forget why we are here. We're here to unite and uplift and encourage and empower.
Exactly.
And sometimes you're in a group where you don't belong. You know, and that's one of the things we talked about on our Love Speaks. If you missed Love Speaks, you missed the Love Speaks meeting. You missed a great meeting.
Absolutely.
These women came and we poured, and we had Kamesha there, and she poured as well. We just had a fantastic time.
We did a lot of healing.
A lot of healing went on in that room.
Yes, a lot of healing.
In 2 hours. So just imagine when this group grows even more, how many women we're going to do that with. And the thing about it is everyone there was there to receive and pour.
Yes.
So that was a good thing. And your book came in handy that night as I took the floor. I remembered why I was there. I remember why I was there for happiness and to endow happiness in other people. But I also remembered the boundaries that I had to set for everyone that was in the room, along with myself. The love, the respect. So all these things went into play with this book, and I was excited. I'm so excited. So let's share some things, because I know for a fact you told me one of the things you loved about your book, but I told you one of the things that I've been practicing, and that is your breathe.
Yes.
You want to tell us about that?
Absolutely. So breathe is the method that I created. And the book is a little self-help, a little autobiography, right?
It's amazing.
And so really the concept comes from how I was able to find happiness in spite of all that I went through, in spite of being sexually molested, in spite of being physically abused, right? Emotionally, spiritually abused. You know,
those are real things.
Absolutely.
Real things.
Absolutely.
Real things, people.
In spite of, you know, growing up with drug addicted parents, betrayal, right? All of those things that we experience in life. It may look different, but a lot of us have experienced them. And I call it the breathe method because when I was at my lowest, what I call my rock bottom, I think that the addiction community has that word rock bottom spot on, right? And although I didn't experience addiction myself, from being a child who had addicted parents, I'm very familiar with the community. And when I was at my rock bottom, all I could do was breathe.
Wow.
I
people forget to breathe.
I had given everything that I had to everybody else, right?
Yes.
And then I was at my low point, reaching out to people for help, and they were like, "Oh, I'm doing this and I'm doing that," and all I could do was breathe and pray.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
And so that is where I started. And then I say that I didn't write this book. This book poured out of me.
Yes.
It was many times that I would be asleep and I would be awakened with words in my mind. And I knew I had to get up and get on that laptop and start writing. But BREATHE is an acronym. So first, boundaries. The V is for boundaries, because if we don't have proper boundaries when we start our healing process, people are going to come in and pluck it all up.
Let's talk about those boundaries. We talked about them on Wednesday. And one of the things that I talk about with boundaries when I'm counseling or when I'm doing a group of women or men, I do groups of women and men, I talk about the boundaries. If you are now setting a boundary with someone that's in your life that's old, or whether it's someone that's new, that now becomes a new relationship.
Yes, absolutely.
It becomes a new relationship. A couple of weeks ago, my younger son and I was talking to him and things just didn't go the right way. And I said, you know what, it's time for me. He's 24. It's time for me to set a new boundary. So with that new boundary, I literally, what we did in the past was, it was dead on arrival. We are now in a new relationship. And we can start new boundaries. You have to allow that time for whatever was in the past to just be there. But then it's just amazing how you can start. Okay, well, today we're going to start fresh, and we're going to start fresh with new boundaries. I've been doing this for about a year.
Okay.
When people think about divorce, they think about a husband and wife and how they divorce. I went through a whole 2 years of divorcing people. And setting new boundaries for myself. Some of the divorces that I had to happen.
Absolutely.
They had to happen. I was holding on.
Get to your next level.
I was not. I was about to say I was holding on to dead weight and that pour into thing. I felt like I was pouring more into them than they were pouring into me. Today I had a conversation with my best friend in the car, and I was telling her, I am now setting another boundary. If you're not pouring into me, I'm not going to pour into you.
One-sided relationships don't feel good.
And you talk about that in your book.
They do not feel good. And I went through that. And actually, so for me, I struggle a lot with survivor's remorse. So, and I didn't know that that's what it was, but I was afraid to leave people because I wanted everybody to come with me.
Absolutely.
And so I kept pouring, right? That pouring you're talking about. So it's like, let me tell you what I'm learning. Let me tell you what I'm learning.
Yes.
Oh, come out to this event with me. Oh, read this book that I read. Oh, listen to this pastor. Oh, and people weren't doing it. Right?
And you set expectations, and then when they let you down, it's a huge letdown. And when someone lets you down, you have to take that time to rebuild. Listen, all my viewers, I have 1.k followers. I love you all. But listen to this. It takes too much to rebuild and revamp relationships that should never have been.
Yes.
It takes too much.
Energy.
It's a lot of energy, and we could be doing other things.
Absolutely.
We could be doing other things. And that's why, and I also mentioned peer pressure along the way. Peer pressure can be at any age.
And I also think some part peer pressure, some part manipulation.
Absolutely.
Because when we set those boundaries, people want us to go back to who we used to be. They want to go back to when they were the takers.
Absolutely.
Right? And when they were benefiting from. And when we set these boundaries, it's like, well, wait a minute.
You're like, and I've experienced where when I set boundaries, I'm the worst.
Absolutely.
You know, and I have learned.
Me too.
I have learned, the way I've learned to deal with that is I have learned that, again, this is a new relationship.
That's
so
a very good
if
concept.
you don't reciprocate the new relationship, then I have to move on. My exit strategy has become the best.
It has to be.
And 48, I'm living, when people say you're living your best life, I think right now I'm living the best life because I've went through the trials. I went through, hardship. I've went through poverty. I've went through being a single mom. I went through raising my children on my own. A lot of people think, all these downfalls are here to build who you are.
Absolutely.
I just literally started walking in. That's why I know your purpose is so important, because I can tell you through the 45 years of my life, I had no clue of what walking in my purpose looked like.
Wow.
I wore a mask for so long to try to make sure that I fit what society said I should look like, what my family said I should look like, what I would get up in the morning and lie to myself in the mirror to say what I would look like so corporate America would receive me. Finally, I said, you know what? I'm going to find out what this entrepreneurship is about, because then I don't have to worry about the next person. I'm my own person. So I did all those things. But the only thing that I forgot along the way to revamp was that self-love that you talk about in your book. Tell me a little bit about more. I will tell them, because I've read it twice.
So to me, that was the foundation. When I was at my rock bottom, I began praying, because I'm a believer. And I began praying and I asked God, how did I get here? And God helped me realize it was the lack of self-love. Because when we begin to love ourselves, see, you started the self-love foundation because it was the love for self that allowed you to enforce those boundaries.
Absolutely.
So that began to stir up. And this is something that's humbling to this day. So when God spoke that to me, the lack of self-love, I didn't know what it looked like. Because I looked around the people that I knew. I looked around people in my family. And I didn't see that. So I literally went to Google and typed in how to love yourself.
Google will tell you a whole bunch of ways.
A YouTube video came up by Louise Hay. It's in my book that I talk about. And she gave these 10 steps to self-love. And I just started practicing them. No, stop criticizing yourself. Stop scaring yourself. Affirmations, like she talked about all of these things, and I realized that fear was a big one for me. So as I stopped criticizing myself, I stopped looking at the extra weight right here and the bump I don't like here and the speck in my eye, all of these different things. And I started looking at myself and affirming myself, saying, no, you are beautiful.
That good morning gorgeous thing is it for me.
Yes, MJB.
It is it for me. When I first heard it, I was like, okay, this is my theme. Now Beyonce came out with hers. Okay, I'm playing the both of them back to back to get me riled up in the morning.
Yes.
But that's the Love Speaks Foundation was created because of that. It was created also because I had literally stepped into what love looked like, but now I needed to speak it into existence. I needed to speak that. I was challenged by one of our therapists that is housed here at the Business Suites of Brass Mill, Mr. Cliff. A shout out to you, Mr. Cliff. I know you're on vacation, but you better hurry up and get back. One of the things he challenged me with is, are you loving yourself? Are you giving yourself enough love?
Because we can't really love anyone if we don't love ourselves, because then what happens is we get resentful.
Absolutely.
I did this and who didn't benefit and all of that comes when we're not truly, but when we love ourselves and we're full, then we can get from overflow and we're not beat down, we're not torn down. So absolutely.
And I tell you what, when I didn't know what love was. And I can tell you to the day, I'm still trying to walk my way through what love feels like. Not only what it looks like, but what it feels like.
Absolutely.
And what it's supposed to feel like. One of the things I tell women all the time, and I spoke about this in the group the other night, don't tell me you love me with all your heart. Because when you tell me you love me with all your heart dies with the body. When you tell me you love me with all your soul goes on to be with eternity forever. That's where I want to feel it at. And sometimes we get into this little butterflies. If you have butterflies, you should not. Because you shouldn't feel anxiety when you love somebody. You shouldn't feel like you have to go in and look at your best and you don't and feeling nervous and all that good stuff. You shouldn't be doing it. If you got butterflies, move on. Because when the person that you love walks in the room, they're there to encourage you. They're there to uplift you. They're there to make you feel good, not nervous.
Absolutely. But that also comes from breathe is an acronym: boundaries, respect, examination, acceptance, trust, healing, and esteem. So acceptance, when we can accept ourselves, right? When we have that esteem, when we put all of them together, then we're able to stand in this relationship and be the full embodied person that can then be in relation with another person. But once we start accepting ourselves, then we don't have to have butterflies.
We don't have to have any of those
I am enough. And again, how I got to that place, I used to write on my mirrors, "I love you," so that I can see it. I used to make,
in case someone didn't tell you that.
Exactly. And at the time when I wrote this book, I was married, and I wrote this book about 3 years ago. I published it for my 40th birthday. And at that point, I had been married, I think about 16 years. And there was a lot that I felt was missing from that relationship. Although everyone, they saw the 5-bedroom house, the 3 bathrooms,
let's talk about that.
The yard, the
let's
deck,
talk about that.
The acre of land. They saw those things, and he
those
looks
materialistic things.
They look so happy and look like they love each other. At one point, we were invited, because we were marriage ministry leaders at one point, we were invited to speak at a marriage conference, and we were separated. And I emailed back and I said, "You're asking me to speak at this conference and you don't even know the condition of my marriage."
And didn't ask.
And I had to decline. I said, "No." But it's because of what it looked like on the outside, right? And so when I started that self-love piece, I started with my boundaries, but then I started giving to myself everything I wanted him to give me. I started buying myself flowers. I started buying myself roses and putting them out and picking the ones that I like. I started taking myself on dates.
Balloons, What?
And it feels good because you're going to get exactly what you want.
It does.
I started telling myself when I looked in the mirror, "You look good," because I wanted him to say, "Oh, you look beautiful. You look nice." And I wasn't getting it. So I started telling myself, "You look good. Okay, I see you." All of those things. And it started building me. And what I realized was I really didn't need anybody to give me anything.
Absolutely.
I can hug myself. I can rub myself. I can go get a massage. I can go get a toy. Whatever it is that I need
to self-heal, self-ventilate yourself here. A friend of mine, he was telling me he had his first daughter, and it was so amazing. She's so beautiful. I think she's 3 now. And I reminded him to always, he said, "What advice do you have for me, Doc?" I said, "Always tell her that you love her.
Yes.
Always tell her that she's beautiful.
Yes.
Always give her words of affirmation."
Yes.
So guess what? When she goes out and she starts dating this man and he's not telling her those things, she knows exactly that's a red flag and it's time to move on.
Absolutely.
But back in our generation, in our time, we didn't get enough of that.
So what my dad affirmed in me was that I was stupid.
Well,
that I was dumb, and I would be nothing more than a janitor. So he would have me clean the house and tell me to practice for the career that I was going to have, because you're dumb and stupid. You're not going to be any. So I was never affirmed that I was beautiful.
And that's one of the things that we need to stop right now. I was reminded that these things are generational curses. Yes. I was reminded that they were generational foundations that had been laid for us. Even growing up as a child, my mom, it was 7 of us, and the word love didn't come out very often, but she showed it through her actions that she loved us. Sometimes I need to hear it.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, words are big. Words are important.
They're life.
They are life.
And death
is in the power of the tongue.
Exactly.
So I tell my sons all the time that I love them. And again, they're just words. So you have to show them in action. That's another big thing. Show in action.
Yeah, and then you got to go even deeper into love languages, because everyone receives love differently.
Everybody, and that's another thing that us African American people. I just asked somebody, "Well, what's your love language?" They're like, "What?"
Right.
What do you mean? Like, I know my love language is touch.
Me too. It's big for me.
It's touch.
Touch and quality time.
Touch and quality time are my biggest things, because
that's why we connected.
That's why we connected, because those are the things that I lack the most.
Mhm.
I am financially fit,
Mhm.
and I thank God for it.
Mhm.
You know, I know the I mean everything else in the love signs I have, but that touch,
Mhm.
okay,
Yes.
and that companionship,
Mhm.
it means everything to me, because for the little bit of hours, we can only get a little bit of hours. For the little bit of hours that I have, I want to
Mhm.
spend it with someone that I know just doesn't just love me, but loves me and adores me from their soul, and wants that
Cherishes you.
exactly wants that cherishing moment.
Mhm.
We tend to lose focus of that.
Mhm. We do.
And I'll tell you, being an entrepreneur, being an entrepreneur isn't for everyone,
Right.
but it's even doubly harder for a woman,
Mhm.
because most of the time you get the envy,
Absolutely.
you get the jealousy,
Mhm.
okay, and then sometimes the enemy is sitting right in your home.
Absolutely.
Sometimes that, the person that should be rooting for you is the person that's praying for your demise.
Absolutely. And that was definitely an
But
experience.
one of the things you
Mhm.
talk about in your book is the self-love piece. And you have to understand that you always have to walk in with your full armor on, because
Mhm.
you never know where to expect these things.
Mhm. And as you say that, it makes me think of, again, the other trust.
Mhm.
So the T is for trust, and it talks about trusting yourself.
Mhm.
So when you say walk in with that full armor and that envy, a lot of times it's revealed to us. We get that gut.
Absolutely. That discernment piece is something real.
There you go.
It's something real.
Absolutely. And between the discernment, intuition, gut, whatever it's called, or anyone wants to call it, but it's real. And what happens when we've been mistreated, when we've been abused, or we've stayed in situations too long, we start that self-doubt. And then we don't trust ourselves anymore, because it's like, well, I stayed in that relationship too long, so how can I trust my judgment? I picked that guy, so how can I trust my judge? I picked that job. And then we start doubting ourselves instead of saying, well, maybe this was the step I needed on the journey to make me who I am. Don't doubt yourself.
That's where that divorce has to walk in at.
Yes.
And again, I want to reiterate what you just said. These relationships are just not between a husband and a wife, a boyfriend and a girlfriend, your boo and your significant other. These relationships are in our churches.
Absolutely.
Okay. They're in our neighborhoods. They're on our jobs. They're within our families.
Yes.
All of these things become a commodity when you're dealing with them.
Dealing with people, because people
all
will
people. And people are always going to be just that, people. But one of the things that I've learned within the last 5 years is the fact of the matter that everyone was created with a purpose.
Yes.
Everybody was created with a purpose. Everybody was designed in the like image of our creator, but you were created with your own identity and your own purpose.
Yes.
So a lot of women and men, I don't want to leave them out, that are going through any types of hardships, you have to understand that you have to come from underneath of it. Take that mask off.
And I talk about the mask in the book, because what I learned when I was going through my journey, I realized I didn't know who I was.
Absolutely, me too.
Had no idea.
I'm going to tell you, for my followers, I literally turned into someone else, because it was easier for me to be the someone else versus be Stacy.
So what exactly?
It was easier.
Me too. And so what I learned was that when we are a child, we take on an identity, because that identity keeps us safe in our family of origin, whatever, So for me, because I grew up in abuse, my identity was to be quiet, was to be small, was to not be seen, because if you don't see me, then maybe I won't be abused. And that identity served me as a child until I got older. But then it came a point where that identity no longer served me. Right now, it's hurting me.
Yes.
Opposed to helping me. So, and I think it was created by design, because now it's uncomfortable. So now we can start saying, "Oh, this doesn't feel good. This doesn't feel good," and then that's when we're supposed to take the mask off. And it takes courage.
It takes a lot of courage, because
it's scary.
That we talked about what goes on behind closed doors. Well, the closed door is the mask.
Yes.
Okay. Let's put these two things together, because that's where they should be. Anything that you're hiding behind, might it be a wall, might it be the other day I was crunched down behind my file cabinet trying to get something that I lost, and I felt so little back there. I got claustrophobic because I felt like I was hiding behind something. So anything that you can get behind and hide behind can be catastrophic to everything that you do in life, because you're not supposed to be behind. God didn't create us to be behind.
Exactly.
He created us to be in the forefront and in his like image. So and he went everywhere and he done everything. So that's what he wants from us, right? But the things get so crazy within the whole realm of the walk of life.
Yes.
And without groups like Love Speaks, without books like this, we tend to stay within and not vindicated.
Right.
Okay. So another one of the things you talked about were the types of boundaries that we set for not just for each other, but I stopped setting boundaries for other folks. I started setting boundaries for myself. And these are the boundaries I expect from you.
That's it. Because really boundaries are for us. They are for our protection.
You. They're not for the next person.
No, so I like to think of boundaries as a fence and not a wall, because you want to be able to open it, let people in.
I love that. If you want it to be airy, you know what I mean? We put up a fence at our house. It's blocked all the way around, but on this side of the neighbors, it's like an open fence. And I said to myself one day when I went out, I was like, we tend to talk to the open air neighbors more than we talk to the high fence neighbors. And I said, I wonder if that's because the fence is there. We don't give them an opportunity.
Yes, and a fence is supposed to have that door so you can open it and close it. But the other reason why I like I like to liken it to a fence is because we put fences around things we value.
Yes, we do.
So you value your home. You know, you pay for it every month and all that. So there's a value. So it's like, let me fence this in. And so we value ourselves enough to put up a boundary, right? And as you said, there are different types of boundaries. So as I talked earlier, when I said I was, sexually molested, that's a skin boundary. So that's, when someone, or if someone's touching you in a manner that you don't like, I can say, I don't like that. Right.
And it's okay to say that. It's okay to say that.
And even as we grow up and we mature and we get into relationships, it's also okay for people to say how you like to be touched. Absolutely. I don't like to be touched like this. Touch me like that. Absolutely. I don't like this. Or you can talk about.
I just learned that. And I'm proud to say that I'm a 48-year-old woman. And all this time I was doing it wrong. Because we are not taught.
We're not.
My mom didn't teach me how to tell someone how to love me, how to touch me. And I just never forget it. It was a couple years back. And I was like, I didn't like that. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't care if it was even in the moment. I didn't like that. One of the things, it was like a pat on the bottom. I didn't like that.
And it's okay.
I was like, I told straight up, I don't like that. Don't do that to me.
Don't do that again. And when they respect you, back to the R, right?
Back to the R.
When they respect you, then they won't do that again. And then have dialogue, have communication. And if you don't like this, what do you like? Well, what would you prefer?
He didn't ask. He just looked at me like, I was all the way wrong for saying it. And I'm gonna tell you what. I allowed myself to have that voice even when we got to the table. I was like, did you understand what I said?
Good for you.
Did you understand that I didn't like that? Because not only that allows him to know that how it made me feel.
There you go.
Not only, I'm not a big public person, but like a hand on my back, maybe a gesture of a kiss or something like that. But like to be like that physical, that's a whole no for me.
Out in public.
And it's just not out in public. Being a child of molestation, there's certain things I just don't like.
Yeah.
But for a long time, I accepted them. But when I started setting boundaries for what I wanted and how I wanted to be loved, how I wanted to be respected, because I didn't have those things in my first marriage. I didn't have those things because I didn't know what those things were.
Right.
I didn't even know. You talk about them in your book. You don't even know what they look like.
I had no idea. And because we come from a generation where we were, and you said this at Love Speaks,
yes,
we were to be seen and not heard.
Yes.
So we were taught to be quiet. If we said we didn't like something, that was talking back.
Absolutely.
You're talking back, right? So we were trained to not have boundaries, and then we're an adult and it's like, have boundaries. And it's like, well, what does that look like? Because I got in trouble for that. right? I wasn't allowed to say if a meal was placed in front of me, I wasn't allowed to say I don't like peas. Girl, you gonna eat them peas?
You're gonna eat them all.
Yeah, because that's what I
Yeah.
made for you. So what it taught me, I remember
Let me
growing
tell
up,
you,
it taught us that what we like and dislike doesn't matter.
I literally till today do not like Brussels sprouts till today because my mom made us eat them,
Mhm.
and it wasn't like. And then I learned from that issue right there.
Mhm.
I never forced my children to eat something that they did not like.
Mhm.
I always asked them, and you know what that did? It drew open a line of communication. There was no line of communication in my house.
Mhm.
There was no line of so
Mhm.
I learned early on how not to communicate.
So I had it with my mother. My mother and I had a great relationship. My father was my mother was more passive. My father was very aggressive. So the other thing I learned by watching her was to be timid, to the man, listen, okay, stay out the way. But yes, it because it was such a fear for me to ever speak up. So like you said, you don't learn. She and I had it, but she didn't have the power to really change anything, so I didn't, what I learned was my voice didn't matter. It didn't make a difference. And so I would just be quiet and I would just be quiet. But once that mask started getting uncomfortable, it started itching my face. But I also learned it at that rock bottom. And I've learned that about people. So sometimes people think I'm crazy because someone will go through something and somebody will say, "Oh, I'm so sorry. And I wish that didn't happen." I don't say that.
Me neither.
Because it's
I
in
think
our pain.
I think we talked about that. I don't regret anything that I went through. I remember a couple years back when I met Dr. Coulter, and I was going through something then, and I never forget telling her, why me? And she said, "Why not you?"
Right.
Why not you?
Mhm.
I don't regret the lifestyle that I lived when I was in my 20s. I'm a young woman. I don't regret the lifestyle I lived in my later 20s and into my 30s because I just got some sense. Now, I just got some common sense. Now, don't y'all think, y'all out there, a lot of y'all know me, and a lot of y'all know me from the way back when and what was. But I just literally decided to start walking in my purpose because then, you know what I did? I went to therapy.
That part.
My therapist, I have an hour and a half conversation today, and he billed me extra. He was like, "I'm billing you extra today because you got a whole lot going on." And sometimes you do. A therapist needs a therapist.
Yes.
A pastor needs a pastor. A counselor needs a counselor.
I'm a coach, and I have a coach.
And exactly, I'm a business coach, and I have a business coach. I had to come to after my mom passed away. I had to come to the realization that she was never coming back. Because for some reason, I don't know what it took for me to think that she was supposed to be here for eternity. Like I really thought she was supposed to be here. And my mom and I, we had relationships that were sometimes good, sometimes bad.
Right.
But they were relationships. But I had to realize that some of the things she had done was to show me how to grow.
Right.
She wasn't a little red hen. She didn't go knead it and she didn't plant. I mean, she tried to plant it, but when it was time for harvest time, she was like, "I'm not helping you." And at harvest time, you don't help, you don't eat. And that's what she showed me that, I'm not going to help you.
You have to learn it.
You have to learn on your own. And I had to become okay with not allowing her to eat. Because another thing, I don't care who it is, ladies, men, I don't care who it is. When I was growing up as a child, we grew up with the fact of the matter that we had to respect our elders. It's in the 10 Commandments. It's one of the things that it was inbred in me. But when I became a grown woman, I started putting in my mind, I'm going to give respect to those who respect me. And there was plenty of times where I didn't reciprocate and give that respect because it wasn't given to me. Again, the little red hen story. When it was time for harvest, and what I mean by harvest, when it was time for me to really grow and learn how to be a mother and learn how to be a woman, she dropped the ball because she straight up told me I was tired. I already had 7 of y'all. Y'all was the last 2. I'm tired. So then I had to go out here in the world and try to learn how to be a mother.
The hard way, trial and error.
That is how we error. My son, I had him when I was 17, and we still till today have some toxic issues and relationships and stuff like that. But I keep letting him know, You grew up with me. I had no idea how to love you because I wasn't loving me.
Right.
But what I did is I became, like my mom, a provider. It's different. Listen, every woman that has a child is not a mother.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I tried to do the very best, but sometimes our best just ain't good enough.
Absolutely.
But you have to go back and remind them folks called your children, okay, that you did the very best.
The best.
And I just pray, I tell them all the time, I pray that when you have your children, which he does have children now, that you just do better than I did. Do better than I did. But now you get to understand what it feels like when you come from not being loved. Because again, my mother, and up until like maybe a few years before she died, because she was sick with cancer, she started telling us that she loved us. But I had never heard that growing up. But again, she tried to show us with the extra cookie, extra piece of cake, or something like that, right? We tend to take that into our walks of life.
Yes. And it goes back to love languages, because we tend to love people how we want to be loved. So if her love language was gifts, right? Receiving gifts, then that's what she gave, was receiving gifts. Where my mom, her love language, I'm sure, was physical touch, because she was always touchy, and quality time, probably, because she devoted as much time as she could through her addiction. So for me, I was in high school, paying rent, an emancipated minor, living in a city all by myself. So like you, I had to figure it out the hard way. Life had to teach me, because there wasn't anyone to say, well, how do I do this? Or what do I do? Or, don't do that. But it, like you said, it makes us the people that we are. And so that's why when I see other people in struggle, it's like, yeah, I'll pray, or I'll, send you light and love, all of those different things. But my prayer is that this situation will cause you to be who you are, to know your purpose.
Yes, to know,
so that you can walk in your purpose, because that's how you got it. That's how you discovered your purpose. Was through pain.
And another thing that I learned this, I read in the book, and I also have been doing this, and I think I told you guys another thing that I have been doing is I've been being very careful who I allow to project onto me, and who I'm projecting on. Before, I remember, I was always popular, I always had a whole bunch of friends. But again, at the end of the day, how many of them were projecting on me what I needed? I came to realize that my circle has to be really small.
And you know how we figure out who's for us? Setting those boundaries, because the people who are for you,
it hurts.
It does, but they respect you. So your circle, everyone in your circle right now respects your boundaries,
and they do,
whatever it is.
And you know what? I always thought, because I came from a big family, so I always thought, well, I needed big. But here lately, I again, I'm 48. I'm just learning who I am. Sometimes it's okay to relearn who you are.
And I think we're always changing.
So
when you're at 58, you're going to be a completely different Stacey.
I'm sure. And you know what? And at 58, God willing, I'm still here. Right. I'm hoping that I'm still practicing in the matter of fact of what I need as a woman, what I need as far as boundaries, what I need as far as love.
And only you can define that. No one can define that for you.
Listen, happiness. I never knew what happiness truly was.
Me either.
I knew that if you saw good times and they was all hugging, because I always wanted the family like good times. I'm like, they was going through their trials and their tribulations, but at the day, they all got hugs and they might have got yelled at by dad, but it all came together in the end for good.
Right.
I wanted that lifestyle. I used to watch like, oh my God, I wish our family was that way. One of the things that I can tell you, like within the things that I'm doing now, differently. I still haven't embraced happiness, but I realized that I never went looking for it. It was never introduced to me.
So I think, I'm sure you read in the book where I said, when I got to happiness, I didn't even know I was there.
That's why I brought it up.
Because I had an illusion of what happiness was
I as well. I just thought that Three's Company was really true. They have roommates and they live together. And then I realized that wait a minute, this didn't look right. So Little House on the Prairie, I realized well wait a minute, this doesn't look right. So all these shows in the heat of the night, well that didn't look like that was racism. That didn't look right.
Right.
So all these things that come on as a mirage to what they're supposed to look like.
Right.
I martyred on what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Happiness was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
I've even went down the road just a year ago and realized that I'm in relationships that I'm not happy with, and now I know what they look like. So now I know what to work on.
Yes, that part.
And I'm telling you, my exit strategy is for everyone, even the dog.
I love it.
Even the dog. Get out.
Mm-hmm.
I told you not to touch that. Get on out. You don't get a second chance.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing that a lot lately.
Good.
Because I was one of those people, Kamesha, that gave a lot of second chances, and the red flags were right there.
The benefit of the doubt.
Oh wow!
And then don't you love how we give them they probably didn't mean that. They probably meant
they were going through this. Their dog died, their goldfish died, their grandma died.
Mm-hmm. And they didn't say it. It's what we came up in our mind that the reasons why they I understand, it's okay. No, it's not okay. No. And that's what I learned. It's not. Even if I understand, because see, where I got to the point where I overstood. That's how I feel. I understood so much that it was over. It was too much. And I realized even if I can understand the reason why, but I still can say no.
I feel like in the last couple of years that a lot of people say, you heard it the other night, oh, she's not human. She's not human. I don't know how many times they told me that. I literally, I've set a lot of challenges for myself because I now know what I want.
I love it.
And it took a long time to get there. Even in relationships that I've built now, happiness is still a journey for me. It's still a journey for me. But I want to experience it.
That's it. And that's all it takes. That to me, that's the first step. And I think we're going to be on the journey our whole lives because relationships are going to be changing, even like you realize with your mom, right?
Yes.
It's not forever. Yes. So the dynamics are going to change. Things are going to happen with people. So we're always going to be on the journey. But it's about writing the book was about coming from that rock bottom place in spite of all that had happened and pulling myself up to get to the point where I can finally say, I'm happy. And it doesn't mean because I'm happy, I don't have hard days. It doesn't mean that I don't cry. It doesn't mean that people don't tick me off. It doesn't mean that people don't try me. But I still can say, when I look over and all, I'm happy. And that's contentment.
That right there is something that I need to be around. Because a lot of people say, and I think you say this in the book, they look at, the Dr. Venable, and we talked about that in the Love Speaks group. They look at the cars, they look at the family, they look at the wealth. Because I was one of 7 and I grew up in a Black projects. I mean, my mother didn't have anything. When she died, most of the stuff that she had in there, her children had gave. So we didn't even want to split it up because most of it we had bought for her. So, and she really showed me that you come into this world with nothing and you'll take nothing away from it. But while I'm here, at 48, still looking for happiness, the fakery, people always talk about, so-and-so is fake and this is fake. Stop saying that because you don't know why that person's mask is on. You don't know. You want to invite them to love on themselves. Invite them to be the true who they are. Right now, I am who I am. I am who I desire to be. I'm looking forward to the happiness piece coming back. I'm looking forward to it. But again, that word looking, I thought I knew what it looked like. And this whole time, that word happiness was an imposter to me. It was an imposter.
And I think that's still a part of the journey because we will strive to get to something. And then when we get there, realize that ain't really it. So then the next part of the journey is to get to the next step of the journey.
Absolutely.
And I feel like each and every part of it is a step on the journey. And you talked earlier about, divorce and divorcing people. And
yes,
I touched a little bit about how I have survivor's remorse, where it's like, I want to bring everyone. And I had to learn that I can't, that they're holding me back. And I had to like cut some of those strings, because as you said, you have to let go of some of those things.
Let go.
And more happiness comes in as we begin to let go. But sometimes we're holding and we're holding.
I mean, I'm very transparent. I've always tried to be very transparent. I held the past so tight that the future was just slipping away right before my eyes.
I can understand.
Because I held it so tight. The things I had gone through, they were so precedent in what my future was going to look like. But once I decided that those things no longer could weigh me down. Because sometimes, I think it's in the Marines where they teach them how to, carry the dead body. And if it gets too heavy, you just save yourself.
Right.
I think my partner was talking to me about the Marines. He was a Marine, and he and I were having a conversation one day. And I told him, I feel like I'm just carrying all the weight. And he reminded me, save yourself.
That's it. That's what you
sometimes
have to
you
do.
just have to cut it loose and save yourself. But one thing I've learned about this world, people like to see what the false persona of what things look like.
Oh, they do.
They enjoy it.
They
enjoy it.
And we get the accolades for that, especially as women. Oh, the strong woman. She's so strong, and she does this and she does that, and oh, bless her, because she's always there. We don't get the accolades for taking care of ourselves. We don't get accolades for setting boundaries. We don't get accolades for saying no. We get accolades when when we're carrying the weight, those dead bodies. When you're carrying them, that's when everybody wants to applaud you. Purple heart, you get the purple heart, you get the round of applause. They love it. They love that person.
They love that person. But when I can tell you, in the last 3 years, when I became me, right? You catch that? When I became me, I lost so much. I lost so much. And our God is such a jealous God. He didn't care that I had lost it, because he told me not to follow man anyway. Right? So when I would go to him, he was like, you know what, this is a closed subject, because this is a closed subject, because this is what we needed. This is what I needed. I needed. And I call a lot of when I started the brass mills, I called it my rebirth.
I like it.
And a lot of people say, how can you do a rebirth? I literally decided that I was worth it.
I love it.
I'm worth it. If my life isn't, if my relationship with my kids isn't working out, then it's just not working out. They're grown. I'm going to take me.
You have to.
My marriage isn't working out. Okay, we're going to take ownership in that, but I'm going to choose me. Okay, the brass business suites and brass mill, I asked God to enlarge my territory, and as you know, he has enlarged it in capacities, but I think he enlarged it because I was obedient to, he said, love you first.
That's it.
Put you first. And I kept hearing that in different, and one of the things Dr. Coulter reminded us of, that we can hear God in songs, in different ways. And I started saying, wait a minute, everywhere I walked, I heard this song, enlarge my territory. I'm like, okay, what are you telling me, God? But he wasn't just telling me to enlarge my territory in materialistic things. He was telling me to enlarge my territory within myself. Trust me.
There you go.
Trust me.
Yes.
He said, trust me. And if you're trusting me, I'm going to give you all you need. I'm going to supply all your needs. I said, you know what, God, I'm going to do this. I'm going to try.
And what we, because I was caught in religion for many years, right? And the old school, old school Baptist religion. So everything was about taking care of everyone and doing
love thy neighbor.
Yes. And what people don't realize is the scripture says, love thy neighbor as you love thyself.
That word self.
So you gotta love you first. It was
that part. But see, they never say the ending.
There you go. And so we were loving our neighbors better than we were loving ourselves. No, it's you love them as you love yourself. So as I'm giving to myself, I can give to you. As I'm loving myself, I can love you. But without that part,
and I'm gonna tell you, In the last 3 years, I have allowed no one to take anything away from me that I wasn't willing to give.
I love it.
And I want
it.
women and men.
Mm-hmm.
I want you guys to understand and hear me loudly.
Mm-hmm.
Stop allowing people to take up rental space in your time,
Mm-hmm.
in your brain, in your thought process. If they don't deserve to be there, then it's time for the divorce.
It is.
It's time for the divorce. No matter how hard you may think it may be,
mm-hmm.
your happiness is worth it.
Your
peace costs more than anything on this earth. So if that person isn't bringing you, or that situation
mm-hmm.
isn't bringing you,
mm-hmm.
or the car ain't bringing you, it's time to move on and get something different.
I'm glad you said that, because sometimes we're weighed down by the car payment. Let it
Go.
Or the mortgage payment. Let
it go.
When I left my marriage, it was 18. By the time we divorced, it was 20. It was 18 when I left. I walked away from a house that was paid for.
Mm-hmm.
I walked away from 401k. I walked away from all
I
of
did
that.
a lot. I walked away from a lot too.
I moved into a townhome that brought me joy.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first moved in, I had nothing that night. Nothing. Okay. No, I did. I had a mattress. I didn't even have the whole bed. I didn't have a sofa, but I had peace. I had self-love. And I had to. And a month after leaving that relationship, I met the partner that I'm in now. A month later. Because I had to let that go.
We block our own blessings. And we don't only just block them with our thoughts, but we block them outwardly as well. When we, as you teach your children to know right from wrong, you have to remind yourself too from what's right and what's wrong. Some of us just love to live in the imagery of.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And one thing, like I said, the last 3 years, I have embarked on myself. Like, you know what? If this isn't bringing me any joy, I don't want to be with it.
That's it.
If it's not bringing me the connection that I need, I don't want to be with it. But a lot of times in my realm of business, one of the things that I'm learning is that a lot of people would like to be connected to me, but they don't want to be that trajectory I am to me.
Exactly.
They want to be
the takers.
The takers. Mm-hmm. So how do you eliminate the takers? Stop making yourself available to be taken advantage of.
There you go. That accountability piece.
I was about to say, when I tell you the accountability for everything that you're going through in life starts with you.
Absolutely.
I think I put that up the other day, and I told you I think it was like maybe 10,000 likes on that thing. I was feeling some kind of way.
You spoke about it at Love Speaks.
Yeah, I was feeling some kind of way. Mm-hmm. I was like, wait a minute. I am not a victim here.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't get to play the victim.
Mm-hmm.
When I set these boundaries, we're both two consenting adults. And if you don't want to come along with this boundary, then we no longer can have a relationship.
That part.
I told my doctor, I said, wait a minute. I asked you, I came in here with the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And you were telling me this is not the situation. Mm-hmm. I said, okay, then this is the boundary. I'd like to have this done. Mm-hmm. Am I right? And he said, well, I don't think so. So we now ended our relationship.
There you go.
Because I felt like it's about me.
Mm-hmm.
This is about me.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're ladies, if you're with a doctor that don't want to hear what you got to say, and he thinks this, it's time for you to divorce him. It's time. We have plenty of other people out there that will do it. If you're on a job and you and your boss just ain't seeing eye to eye, I'm not telling you to quit your job because you need your job. Because my mother said, don't ever quit a job unless you have a job. Mm-hmm. But start looking. Start looking, because you don't have to stay in that form of where you are.
Or it might be entrepreneurship.
It might be entrepreneurship. Some people have to be their own boss.
Yes.
Some people can't take guidance and can't take direction.
Mm-hmm.
So you set yourself up for whatever it is that you want to be and inspire. And don't think it's ever too late.
That's it.
We had a lady in a group that was 60-something years old.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I'm taking my me back.
Mm-hmm.
She said, I'm always done for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So tonight I'm here to take my me back.
That's it.
And I said to myself, I just literally decided 3 years ago that I was going to take my me back. It was the biggest struggle
It takes a lot of courage and a lot of bravery because it's all of that fear.
Yes.
We've been walking with these people for so long. We've been wearing this mask. We've been this particular identity. Like, this is who we have been. So now we're stepping into unknown territory.
Listen, unknown, uncharted waters. You just don't know what you're going to be. You just don't know. And when I took my blinders off, because I had blinders on, I had blinders on. The world opened up to me. I'm like, wow, that's over there. Wow, I can do this. Yes. Wow, I can do that. And one of the things I can tell you, Kamesha, I had a hard time with was being comfortable in a room where I belonged. I knew that I always wanted to be great in some aspect. But it was stripped away from me early on because my mom was like, well, Black women don't do this and Black women don't do that. And we don't do this and we don't do that. So I stayed in it, we don't do this and we don't do that. I think I talked about it the other night, fast food restaurant working is just not for me. It was, and I never have worked in one because I knew it wasn't for me. I never forget when merry-go-round, for y'all Harford County people who knew what merry-go-round at warehouse, nobody told me to go, that you need to wear comfortable clothes and comfortable shoes. So the day I got hired, they told me come back the next day, at 7:00. I came in with some fresh, because everybody know I'm trying to keep it fresh. I came in with some fresh sneakers. I had a cute hairstyle, had my makeup done. And honey, them shoes, them brand new shoes, don't ever wear no brand new shoes on your first day of work, especially if you're working in a warehouse now. That first day, my shoes were biting my feet. About 9:30, I went over to the man. I said, when do we get a break? He said, oh, lunchtime would be about 11:30. I said, well, we don't get 15-minute breaks. Right. He said, no, we don't do that. I said, okay, well, I'm just asking. I'm just asking for a friend. I was the friend. And when that little buzzer went off, I never went to no break room. I left the lunch bag and all, honey. I got in that car and I never went back because I knew that warehouse work wasn't for me.
And that's the self-awareness piece.
I was about to say,
we can't accept what we don't know.
That's the self-awareness piece. So I knew when I wasn't happy with the fulfillment of my education, I knew that only I could do something about it.
That's it.
When I knew that I was unhappy in my relationship, only I can do something about it. When I was unhappy in the rearing of my children, only I could do something about it. When I'm unhappy here in the business suites of Brass Mill, only I can do something about it. So stop playing the victim, whether you are a man or woman. Leave that victim card alone and start embarking and hold yourself accountable.
There you go.
For the acronym of breathe. Hold yourself accountable.
That's it. And I was going to say, because in here, in the accept part of the book, it talks about accepting personal responsibility for your life.
I have some people right now who said that it wasn't me. It was all you. I was one of them people.
Yeah. And
he did it all.
So for me, because I felt robbed of my childhood, I felt like people owed me. I was the entitled one.
Yes, ma'am.
So
yes,
I felt like my parents didn't take care of me, and I have a sibling that's 10 years younger. So I was responsible to take care of her. So I was looking for the man to take care of me, or this person. Like, I felt that I was owed a redeal. So I'm this whole adult.
We talked about the redeals.
This whole adult wanted to be treated like a child. You're not a child. And what I had to do was realize I'm not a victim.
That's right.
And no one is going to come and save me. I had to save myself. And that started
that on your chest, huh?
And what I realized was that I wasn't taking personal responsibility for my life.
Me too.
And once I started taking exactly what you're talking about, that personal responsibility,
I had to do it.
And that accountability, then I was able to say, you know what, you're going to make it. You're going to make it. When I was laying on a couch and I couldn't get up because I was so deep in my depression, like I would lay on that couch for days. I was so deep in depression. And I said, you know what, I'm going to get up. I'm going to get up. No one is going to pull me up. I laid there and I was telling somebody.
There was no hero that came and got you. There was no knight in shining armor, because, a lot of us think that somebody's coming to get us. Oh, okay. I was just,
Let me tell you, that pool that was in the yard, it ain't come pick me up. None of those material things. The man that everybody, none of those material things saved me. I had to pull between me and my Savior, had to pull me up and start taking responsibility. And I tell people all the time, it reminds me of the parable in the Bible that talks about the man that was at the pool of Bethesda.
Well,
And he sat there and the water would stir. And he'd say,
Yes.
put me in the water, put me in the water. And Jesus asked him, do you want to be
do
healed?
you really want that?
Then get up and get in there, because it's been there for you the whole time.
Mhm.
And I had to realize I thought that I wanted it. I said that I wanted it. It looked cute.
You gotta
Help me.
be careful. Be careful. Be careful what you ask for. Be careful.
And listen, and I'm still, God is still pushing me into the next level and the next level. And I'm like, but that personal responsibility and accountability, because we are no one's victim.
We are no
one's victim.
again,
We're survivors.
At 48 years old, I had to remind myself that I have dusted that victim card off too many times.
Mm-hmm.
I need to just discard of it.
Mm-hmm.
If I didn't get that job, it was because they chose the white girl. They didn't choose me.
Mm-hmm.
No, they didn't choose you because you weren't prepared for
Right.
for the job. Or maybe God said that wasn't the job for you.
Right.
Oh well, he didn't choose me because he was a cheater. He was this. He was that. No, maybe that Miss Blessing was a good thing because now he over there struggling with this wife and he going around cheating on him. There's a lot of things, right?
I had a friend tell me rejection is protection.
Yes.
I never heard it before in my years. She said it to me the other day, and I said yes. Mm-hmm. So that makes me think about what you just said.
I had a problem. I had a problem with being rejected. Mm-hmm. I had a problem with being chose last. Mm-hmm. I forgot that last will be first.
Yes.
And we talked about that the other night.
Yeah.
Last shall be first.
Mm-hmm.
So now, I always say, y'all go ahead. Mm-hmm. I'll wait. And if there's something left for me at the end of the pot, then I'll enjoy it. Mm-hmm. But guess what I always do? I always eat before I come. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean eat food. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean the nurturing of food before my mouth. Mm-hmm. I always eat before I come. Mm-hmm. So if I'm at work, and I'm getting ready to go into a meeting, I've eaten what was on my notepad. So that way I can always make sure that I'm ahead of the game.
I love it.
Okay. So when you start, when my clients come in, I've read over their files. I've eaten before you came. I read your book again last night and this morning because I read it when you first gave it to me a few months ago. I ate before you came. Understand, men and women, eat before you go. Yes. Because again, last shall be first. And what do you mean by that, Dr. Venable? The educating of yourself. Yes. And the educating of yourself isn't just about the degrees and the titles. Educating yourself to know that what you want and the boundaries you set and how they are to make you feel. Absolutely. Because everything that we talked about, we learned, right? So it's just like you said, not that education from school and different things, but we had to learn boundaries. We had to learn self-respect and self-love. So whatever it is, wherever that area is that you want to grow, this is the generation of the World Wide Web. We don't have to get encyclopedias like we did when I was in elementary school. You don't even have to leave your home anymore to learn anything. Yes. You can just sit behind a screen and you can hide behind the screen. And you can hide behind the screen and fist fight people now. You can hide behind the screen to be a bully. Like you can hide behind the screen and be the greatest in the world. Absolutely. But try taking a step out. Try taking that step out into the real world. Again, I am learning through many hard trials, through temptation on every hand, what it really looks like to be an empowering, overcomer, liberated, victorious woman. I'm just learning that. And you know what I'm going to tell you? It feels good to walk alone. Yes. I put up a post the other day. This is what it looks like to stand alone. And before I used to always think, no, I don't want to be by myself. I don't want to be alone because again, we grew up with seven. It was 7 of us in a home, so the house was never ever empty. And then when after leaving, home, I moved right in with one of my kids' fathers, and then the kids and the baby started coming, so I was never alone. So I never knew what comfortability felt like alone because I always thought I needed someone there. I love being alone.
And isn't it nice knowing that the people in your life are people you want in your life? They're not there because you think you need them.
Absolutely.
But I love being alone. So a lot of where people tell you you're not human because you do so much, you don't sleep. People tell me that I'm not human because I go off on vacations by myself.
I'm just learning to do stuff like that.
I would take myself to
literally
dinner,
am
lunch,
just learning how to date myself. I went to the beach by myself.
Yes.
I find clarity in it. Like Dr. Coulter always challenges me to go be by myself. I'm like, I don't want to be by myself. I don't even know how to be by myself. I started turning my phone off. I started, because you know what, and I always thought, I don't want to turn my phone off because if I turn my phone off, something bad may happen. Well, it's going to happen. I just got buried. You want to get back. They ain't gonna hold it because ain't nobody got no money. They gonna hold you. They gonna hold you. Or something happens to one of my buildings. I used to say, oh my God, what if somebody has one? Okay, it's gonna happen. That's why you pay insurance.
Exactly.
So I literally had to liberate myself in my thought process of what it looked like to really be me and what it took to really be me. And sometimes, again, embracing and standing alone. Standing alone is a good thing. It's not a bad thing.
It's not.
You learn to put practice and principle in it. And I remember when I used to stand flat-footed because I wear heels all day. I wear heels all day to remind myself of what uncomfortability feels like.
Wow.
That's everybody say, why do you wear heels all the time? Because after a minute, if you don't walk in those heels properly, they will become uncomfortable and they will not be the cutest best friend that you have. But I learned a long time ago, one, I was short and I always wanted to be taller.
Okay.
Two, my back would stay upright. And everything's about posture in this world when you're walking into a room that you don't belong in.
Absolutely.
You got to walk with confidence, and those heels clicking that floor, it was just something about them. I never forget it. I was 18 and I went to fill out for a job on post, and the hallway was long, and there was this tall white woman. And I'm telling you, every time her foot hit that pavement, it was that click, it was something about, oh, that's what I want to do. I want to do that. And now when people see me in sneakers, they be like, oh my goodness, you was saying, I'm getting old. And I'm starting to learn, but wait a minute, it's something in this. I'm starting to learn that I can even be comfortable, poised, and upright, even in a pair of sneakers. Because why? Because I love myself. I've taken ownership of myself.
Yes.
I no longer want to be like the tall, stout white woman when I can be just Stacy and be comfortable in a body that Stacy's in. I no longer worry about my weight anymore because there's somebody for everybody.
There you go.
I no longer, I do love on myself and keep myself up, but I no longer worry about who's looking, why they looking. I had to stop and realize that the world didn't design who Stacy was.
Exactly.
But I was allowing the world to put out and project who I was.
Absolutely.
Now ask me, do I care? That's a whole nother.
Right. And that's what I learned when I transitioned into the relationship that I'm in now. Like you said, there's someone for everyone. Because when I start talking about shedding pounds, he's like, no, don't lose any weight. Or what a lot of people were astonished about is the marriage that I walked away from. There was no adultery and there was no abuse. And so people were like, what? Boundaries. If you cannot respect my boundaries, and a lot of times we have boundaries for areas that have not been healed. I came with a lot of trauma, and I need someone who can respect the boundary that I have around the areas of me that have not been healed yet. And if you feel entitled, then you can't respect that. If I'm telling you, wait, I need a minute, or I'm telling you, I need sex not to feel like an obligation because I was raped before.
Absolutely.
I don't show me the scriptures that says that my body doesn't belong to me. But that was all I knew because I got married at 22 years old.
I did too. I got married when I was 24 and I thought it was the greatest thing on earth.
Yes,
but you know what? I thought that's what I was supposed to do.
Me too. And so I was doing it and I was never miserable.
I was never told to wait for that Boaz man to come and find me. I was never told that. One of the things that I can tell you, and I think we talked about this the other night, this dating over the age of 40 and trying to figure it out because this is new thing. This dating stuff is a new.
It's very different.
It's crazy, right? One of the things I had to find in my life was the boundaries that I set for myself, but am I healed enough to set the boundary? Am I healed enough? So what I've learned to do is I only set boundaries in the stuff that I'm healed in, and the things that I'm not healed in, I'm still going to work. I'm a work in progress in those. But do I disclose those? Mm-hmm. Yes, because I want him to know. Mm-hmm. I want him to know that these are boundaries and this is where we're not going to cross. But as I'm talking about my boundaries, it opens up a conversation for me to find out about what his expectations are of me.
There you go. And his boundaries.
And his boundaries. A lot of women, we always want what we want.
Yes.
When we walk in a relationship, because let me tell you something, women, we have what men want. So stop acting like you can't set these boundaries. Yes. Because guess what? If he won't do it, someone else will. And we hold the card. We hold the cookie.
That's right.
We hold it.
That's right.
We hold it.
We're sitting on it.
We're sitting on it. Right? Mm-hmm. So again, as you set boundaries, have that open line of communication. Because as comes boundaries, comes expectations. Yes. You may have a man tell you, I only want to be your boyfriend Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. No, sir. That's not my expectation. But allow and stop acting like whatever he tells you is going to hurt you. Because if you go in there empowered and uplifted and encouraged and knowing what you want out of it, his rejection won't bother you.
There you go.
Become unbothered. Become unapologetic. Because I'm telling you right now, I told somebody something the other day and did not care. Unapologetic. Walk Tootsie Roll right on up out of there. Click, click, click. This is what it is.
That's it.
This is what it is. If you're and if you're not going to give me what I need, and we're not going to set healthy boundaries, because there's a difference between just boundaries. You want healthy boundaries,
right?
But again, within setting those boundaries, also that's something else that I learned in 2 marriages.
Okay. Yeah.
In 2 marriages, I never walked in with expectations of what I wanted, and I never heard them say what the expectations were of me. You know, I always thought a woman's role was to, give their man, please their man, be submissive, take care of the kids, clean the house, be ready, willing, and able when he was ready. That's what I'm doing. No, let me know what your expectations. I want a 9 to 5. Can we talk about that? How does he feel about me having a 9 to 5? Right. Not me. I don't have a 9 to 5. I have an 18-hour day. And even that, let me tell you about that. You have to find, even with me, I work 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. I have to find someone that's going to accept that accept that from me.
And not expect you to work 8 hours.
And not expect me to work 8 hours. Because if you expect me to work 8 hours, then we don't even need to get into this thing because I already know I'm not going to give that.
There you go.
So that's a part of healthy.
There you go.
That's a part of healthy relationships. If I know that I only have a certain many hours to give and he doesn't want to respect that, then I don't need to be with him.
There you go.
Because there's going to be a breakdown, right? There's going to be an issue. There's going to be a concern.
Yes.
There's going to be wasted time.
And you can do that now because you have the confidence.
But
when we were the needy women that we were before self-love.
Keisha, did you hear that? Keisha, Keisha's one of our best friends. And she
love you, sis.
Love you, sis. We rooting for you.
Yes.
We're praying for you as well. She talked about when she was the needy friend, how everybody wanted her around. But now that she's no longer the needy friend, she's the problem.
Oh, right.
I'm right there.
Because it made them feel good. She needs
me.
And I'm this and I'm that.
Keisha is one of my I am people. She's one of the people that I go to. And I'm not afraid to project onto her because I know she can handle it. Just like she's not afraid to project onto me because I know I can handle it. But you can't allow everybody to project onto you. But I remember, Kamesha, being that needy friend. Everybody wanted me around because she's the needy one. We got to help her. We got to help her. But when I finally took control over me, and I put my shoulders back, head up, I was like, wait a minute. Then I started realizing what envy looked like.
Oh, that's when they started telling you too much.
And you're tight.
Yeah, you're
I was told that. Remember I told y'all and then me. I was told I was tight.
Yeah.
And I was like, really?
And people try to silence
with that.
And A lot of times when we assert ourselves,
Ooh.
then people want to put us in an angry Black female category, or we have attitudes. And don't get me wrong, there was a time I had an attitude. There was a time I was aggressive, right? So yeah, it comes out sometimes. You're right. But also I find when I'm attempting to assert myself, that people then want to put you in this other category. They want you to be that needy, passive person. But when you stand up and you say, when you assert yourself and say, no, I'm not going to do that. No, I'd rather not. That's when people want to push you to the side.
I tell you, I told you guys a story in Love Speaks, about walking in your ownership of who you are. Walk in the light of what you've worked for. One of the things that people keep talking, one of the things someone said to me a couple weeks back, and I've heard it more than one time, you just think you're a know-it-all because you're a doctor. That degree on my wall that I just paid off. You catch that? I just paid off. I no longer I was quiet until I paid that degree off because I didn't own that degree. It was just a piece of paper to me. But now that I paid off, I own it. And guess what? If you don't want to hear what I have to say, then we no longer have communication because I'm going to walk in who I am.
As you should.
And sometimes we intimidate others by that. But if you know your expectations and you were created with a purpose.
There you go.
And you embark on the BREATHE acronym. It helps.
Yes. And there's no competition.
There's no
because you are your best self. Right. They're their best self.
You create competition as well. That victim card, I want y'all to put that thing away.
Put it away. Burn it.
In 2023, I challenge all women to stand on their own platform with their own bullhorn, become Joe Clark with your own bat, and understand, respect will be given. Respect is a part of life. It's something that we have walked through for years and not had. But understand, along come respect, we have to give that same level of respect because we're out here intimidating these men. We're out here taking away their masculinity, but we also have to realize who we are. Okay, who we are. I'm not ready to jump into a whole bunch of different things, a whole bunch of different relationships, a whole bunch of all these things. But one thing I'm ready to do is I'm ready to give my best.
That's it.
I'm ready to give my best. I'm ready to understand what my best is. And if my best isn't good enough, then I understand that maybe this relationship wasn't ready for it.
There you go.
So again, tonight, ladies, I'm trying to tell you, we could go on and on and on. I am one of the founders of Love Speaks. If you need a safe place, a safe coping place, a safe place to grow and inspire with other women, a safe networking place.
Yes.
If you're out here and you're an entrepreneur and you're a woman, the best thing to do is get motivated, inspired by women who've overcome some things. Because I don't want to be in a room with a woman that ain't never had to overcome nothing.
Me either.
Because that's just not a good fit for me. Love Speaks is we got it going on once a month on Wednesday. Our next meeting will be next month. We'll be putting it out. If you haven't gone on to the Know Your Purpose page at this time, go on to your Know Your Purpose page. Like, love, share, and subscribe. YouTubers, please go to YouTube and make sure you hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost anything to hit the subscribe button. It doesn't cost a thing. So the support is everything. If you see our posts, share our posts. We're entrepreneurs. We're out here. We're doing it. We're working. We're doing the best that we can. And we need you guys. I always follow my people. Anybody that encourages me and I want to be a part of it. No, I might not be at every meeting. No, I might not be able to do this and that, but I can support you in the social media realm. I can throw you out there and big you up. Tonight, if you guys have not gotten this book, she's gonna tell you where you can get it. She gave me mine, and I was happy about it. I was smiling when she gave it to me. But I went home that night, and then I'm a quick reader, so I read it in about a half an hour. And I'm telling you, everything in this talked about me. Put yourself in this book because remember, you didn't write this book for yourself. You wrote it for me.
Yeah,
you wrote it for me. So tell everybody where you can find this book.
So it can be found on my website at KameshaTarell.com.
We have hashtagged you in.
Great. So yeah,
my podcast manager has already put all your information up. And if you need more information, where can they reach you?
They can reach me at I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, also on my website. I give 30-minute free consultations, so you could just go right to my website, book book a time, go to my calendar, book a consultation. We can sit, talk, chat. If you want to work through the breathe method, if you want to talk about boundaries, love, healing, any one of those things, that's where I am available. My book is also, if you're an electronic reader, you can go to Amazon. They have the paperback copy and also the Kindle version. So if you would like an electronic copy, you can find it on Amazon.
So I'm trying to tell you guys, the Business Suites at Brass Mill is expanding.
Yes.
Our new executive building is
Oh my gosh,
open.
it's beautiful.
Thank you so much.
It is so beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful.
We just started. I mean, like we've been working in a long time, but we're now going back, putting a touch of excellence on it. As you see today.
But just the decor,
Thank you.
the building, the colors, the decor, how
Thank
it just
you.
all seamlessly comes together. It feels very welcoming.
Thank you so much.
When I came in, I could feel like it feels like a place you want to be.
Thank you.
I could have just stayed,
and while she's saying that, I'm going to go ahead and challenge her tonight to come and stay alongside of us as one of our life coaches here at the Business Suites at Brass Mill. We're hoping that she comes along and joins us. It's good to throw a challenge out there when you got 1.k followers. So you're just not going to let me down. You're going to let my followers down. Brass Mill. One of the things that my son gave Brass Mill was a great slogan. When you join the Business Suites at Brass Mill, you just don't join a business, you join a family.
Absolutely.
You join a family. And tonight we're going to invite Kamesha to come alongside of us. We have board certified therapists and counselors. And now with her coming on as a board certified life coach, we want to make sure that she's here to give our community what they need, give our women empowerment that they need. And if they need coping skills, to be able to perform those coping skills. It takes a village, and I'm just one person. So I am the founder of Love Speaks. I am the owner of the Business Suites at Brass Mill. If you're looking for a place to grow, we have plenty more office space. And come join the family. Come join us.
Yes.
We do tours from 9 to 5 here on the business campus of Business Suites at Brass Mill. We are here. Come take a tour and see how you feel. Because a lot of people tell me when they come in, it's just like, oh my goodness, like I don't want to leave here. I want to stay.
It feels very comfortable.
I want to stay. We want to make sure it's inviting. So again, if you're looking for a business and you're looking for a place to grow, you're looking for an office suite, you're looking for companionship, you're looking for inspirement. We also have a men's group that meets here at the Business Suites at Brass Mill under the leadership and direction of Mr. Clifton Bright. So he's here. So we're giving the community what you need. We're giving you what you need. You're not looking far enough. If you overlooked us, and that's because, again, you hold your own card. So the number here is 410-297-9300. Please, please, please take advantage of all the wonderful things that we have here to offer. So I just put Miss Kamesha on spot. So maybe next Friday I'll come back and say she took the offer with the 1.k followers.
I accept.
Sis, thank you so much.
Thanks for the invitation and the honor.
Yes. And like I said, I only want the best with me.
Absolutely.
Because if I set you up for the best, then your worst will not be that downfall. If I set you up for it.
But we need that support system. All of us, we need a support system. And that's the importance of Love Speaks, right? That's the importance of even being a part of Brass Mill Suites, because you're in a community. You're not in that secluded office by yourself in one building. You have an entire community.
You can walk out on the campus, because we call it the campus because we own the majority of the whole campus now, ladies and gentlemen. We started with one building and we own 3 of them. It's only one left that we don't own, and we're waiting on that to become available. I'm letting you know right now. So not only do, like I said, you come and you can walk out your office and go into another office and get that uplifting. And my door is always open. My door is never hardly closed when I'm on the campus. Either if I'm on the campus of Brass Mill or the new office building in Delaware, the new office soon to be in Elton, my door is always open because I always want to be that beacon of hope for the next person. And not only that, am I going to be the beacon of hope? I want people like Kamesha to come and pour into me and let me know where I'm wrong, where I'm right, and how I can find my purpose and keep my purpose. Because looking for it and finding it and then walking in is totally different. So tonight, we hope that we gave you a lot of great nuggets. Again, I thank you so much for joining us. I thank you so much for right now saying that she's going to join the Business Suites of Brass Mill. So if you're looking for a life coach, come right on over here. We're going to make sure that she's available. Go on to her webpage and book yourself a 30-minute. And you'll realize
it's free, no obligation.
And you'll realize in that 30 minutes you'll need more. Because healing comes in layers.
It does.
As we talked about, healing comes in layers. And me being 48 years old, still trying to heal. Still trying to heal. So again, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you so much, and we want to say good night to you. It has been a wonderful experience. Again, if you're looking for office suites, we are here. It's just been great.
It has.
And this is such a great building of a wonderful relationship. Ms. Keisha, we thank you so much for bringing this together. Right?
Yes.
She brings
like you
a lot.
said, sister. She's my sister, your sister, and then we became
Yeah,
sisters.
we became sisters. This sisterhood thing.
Yes.
If you build the right sisterhood, it'll last forever.
Yes. Yes. And I met Keisha picking up some donations and then never left her house. I met her on Facebook. She was giving donations to the building that I work in, and came and picked them up, and I stayed for over an hour.
Listen, she's that type of friend.
She is.
She's that I am person that you want on your team. A lot of people say I'm that I am person, but remember, don't forget the I am person needs someone like Kamesha and Keisha and myself, and we're open, willing, and available. Yeah. Thank you so much, and know your purpose through the week on purpose.
On purpose.
Have a great weekend. It's supposed to be really nice. Take care.